And we're live. Hello. So we're here today for our team meeting. Today's on 24. We'll talk a little bit about the MetPlus project. I'm not sure if all of you saw, if everybody saw my topics. I'm going to share my screen very quickly so we are all seeing the same thing. Everybody. My idea for this meeting, it's quite a big agenda, I know, but let's see if we can squeeze everything in maybe 30 minutes. So the first point that I would like to talk about is a little bit about the status of the project, where we are, are we progressing, things that we are doing well, and such. So basically, how we are at this point. I'd like to exchange some ideas of what we feel could be a good MVP for a first delivery for the client. It might not be what the client wants in the first release, but at least for him to start looking at it, playing with it. If he believes it's good enough for someone else to start playing with it and adding data into it, then he can share with it. So basically, this is the second point. And the third point that I have here, it's suggestions, and that for our process, things that would be nice to change, and that could be an advantage for us, and other topics that we might have, other things that we would like to talk about. Okay? Any question about the agenda?
No.
Nope. Okay, so let's start with the status of the project. I believe currently we're in a phase where we have a lot of functionality already ready, or at least in a state that is pretty advanced. I think there are still some points that we need to look into in order to have a first release that is workable, or at least that does something that can help the client. I don't know what you guys think of currently of our progress. If you believe we are at this point or not. If we have any kind of anything that you'd like to add to this.
I would say that I don't know if we are ready or nearing readiness to give the client something to start playing with until we've defined our MVP, which we haven't done yet. So I'm reserving judgment on that.
Yeah,
overall, we're progressing fine given the availability of people, our skill levels, etc. So generally, that's okay. Sorry, Amy. I think
it's okay. No worries. Are we satisfied with the attendance of the daily scrums?
it's not great.
Not great?
It'd be good if we could mostly have good attendance, but it's spotty.
Yeah. Well, for me, the only way I would be able to attend all the time is to do this full time, which I can't afford to do. What do you think is like the minimum, and do you think we would be able to agree on like certain days that we always make it and can count on?
Well, to me, I mean, not to monopolize the conversation here, but to me, it's not so much the scrums. It's 15 minutes of what we did, what we're going to do, etc.
Okay.
I think what we've missed a lot of, and we're kind of getting into, I think, item 3, so I can hold my fire until I get there, but we don't have very many team discussions on critical things like understanding system requirements, system architecture, system design, and just comments through GitHub and comments on Slack are woefully insufficient for some of the things we're dealing with. So we need to have more time as a team, maybe not a daily scrum, but maybe earlier than that on some days, talk through things. And I hear Vijaya saying yes.
Yeah.
So I think we all feel that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see this happen a lot on Teams in that there isn't enough team meeting time, which is why I keep trying to convince people to do co-located teams. Obviously not possible here, but I think that what we're looking at is not enough team together time to do this kind of work.
Yes, anyone want to add anything else?
There's some more in there, but I'll wait till we get to item
No,
3.
to this topic. I'm talking about this topic.
Yeah, I understand. So we got kind of into what we want to do differently.
Yeah, we can jump that. We can jump on that on the next point and talk a little bit more, or how can we manage to get a little bit more team time and everything. Um, and that's it. Do you guys have anything else that you'd like to add into this project status, more or less? Things that we have been doing good that we should try to keep on doing and such?
Well, we have regular meetings with the client. We have an ongoing history. You know, like a lot of the pro bono projects that I've seen, they don't have any memories, kind of. You know, people really come and go a lot. And we have a fair amount of coherence. It's not up at the level that a paid team would be, but it's pretty close for a pro bono project. In fact, it's probably the closest pro bono project I've ever seen in my limited experience, of course. And we've also mostly been able to avoid interpersonal conflict pop up.
Not entirely on that last one, but that's not a topic for this meeting. I put things down there in red, so I think our daily scrums work. That's good, and we're sticking with the discipline. I think we've had as needed pair programming, design, and code reviews. We don't have any scheduled, but as we discover things, we reach out to each other and arrange for stuff. Sometimes one-on-one and sometimes more people. And I do think we do have well-structured client meetings. We go there with an agenda. We know what we're going to show the client, what we're going to talk about, and we have a good relationship with Chet. So I think those are all good things.
Okay. So the thing is, the objective of this meeting is for everybody to come in and give their 5 cents on us, because if we want to work as a team, we need to somehow understand a little bit better each other as well. So, Vijay, Salim, you guys would like to add anything here?
Yeah, I would. As a team, I think we're a good team, but sometimes we kind of our relation hits up. I think, to me, anything, I'm open to anything. You know, when I see, for example, when I see a good code or something, you know, I like to, you know, say something, you know, that's good or something. But I'm gonna be a little bit specific. Patrick, sometimes he get excited, I guess, and he kind of saying my way or no way. You know, you gotta be like a little bit open and see. And then when you do the review, also sometimes the word using kind of like as if you are. This is the way it should be. You know, kind of like, you know English better than me. You have to lenient, you know. So I think if I can say I've been coding a lot. I mean, before, even at the school level, but even though I'm a little bit new to Ruby, when I see things, sometimes, you know, I skip stuff. I said, you know, this is little thing, doesn't affect us. I pass on. But if I say something, probably might create some heats with other people. So what I'm trying to say is let us be open and don't be like rushed to say something. Look at it. Why I'm doing this? Ask me why, Salim, are you doing this? Probably I'll explain. Maybe go do research and see if it makes sense. And you know, we're here to learn, not like I'm not saying I'm always right. I can't do something wrong, but let's understand each other basically.
Okay. Uh, Not sure if Vijaya would like to say anything about our project status or.
Yeah, I'm okay. Whatever I'm attending the daily Scrum meetings, whenever I need help, the team members is helping me with Patrick, whoever are available in the online. I will ask them and I will help. I'm okay for that one. Whatever the time I'm available, I will spend to the project. I'm not available the full time. I have limited for other things is going on. That's why I'm attending all the client meetings. So far, it's good. The project structure and design and the scope. And we have discussed more about the architecture and the system design. We spend more time for that one with the team. It's good for our project, I'm thinking. That is my work.
Okay. Uh, so, going back a little bit, Salim, I think we can talk a little bit more that on the next point. Unless you all believe that we should jump to point 3 first before talking about the MVP. You like
Are you
to go through like point 1 and 3, and then we talk about the MVP. I don't have any problem with that, and we can just merge both of them together. I don't know.
Are we trying to choose this as a team between tackling point 3 and tackling the MVP?
Not between, but if we should, looks like that maybe it's better. Maybe the agenda was not created the way it should, and maybe we should tackle now point 3 before tackling point 2. Or we can just hold it off and talk about the MVP and then go through point 3.
So, cycling back on what Salim had to say, Salim, you and I need to have a session together. I'm not interested in having this discussion with other people. You and I need to connect and talk things through. That's a two-way street, by the way, and I think we're overdue for a discussion between the two of us. That's all I'll say on that.
Oh, yeah, sure. It's just communicating. I mean,
We can do it one-on-one.
sure. Yeah,
Not
that would
interested
be
in
nice.
discussing it here. Good.
All right.
I will connect up with you.
So, do you guys want to do point 3 first, or?
I think it's kind of consistent with what we're talking about now, so yeah.
Yeah.
Follows on nicely.
Are you guys okay with this?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to the suggestions of things that we might want to change, that we would like to change on our process, or in the way we do things, the way we code even. And so I see Patrick has already added some things here. Do you like to start
Sure.
at this point?
Yeah, so we've talked before, and I know time's the problem, especially with Hugh, but we do need regular Scrum planning meetings. We don't. I think we've had that once, and it was really useful. So somehow we need to find time to do that, and if you can't do it, Hugh, maybe the rest of us do, and we just report to you where we ended up when we connect up on a Scrum that evening. But I think it's really critical. And once we get our finalized MVP list, we'll have a little bit more guidelines as to how to put together sprints. Should say sprint planning, not Scrum planning. The second topic is what I started talking to before, and I think Vijaya and Amy kind of nod their heads as well, which is we need more group discussions of things like, as noted here, system requirements, architecture, etc. For instance, I've been working on this prototype for notifications, and Huey, you and I have had a back and forth on comments, and that's about it, and that's woefully insufficient for that topic, both in terms of what's the technology for, is it a solution in search of a problem, and, you know, how do we go about implementing notifications? That kind of thing, as an example. It cries out for group discussions. Last thing I've got here is that I thought we do our client meetings very well. I did think the last client meeting we had a breakout session on MVP, and we were not ready to discuss that. And I was kind of, it's not something that we want to do in front of the client until we're ready to discuss it. So if we could all just basically stay on the same page, we do spend a lot of time, I know Hewitt does, and I also go in and I edit, creating that client agenda. It's not something we throw together 10 minutes before the call, we think it through. So if we could kind of stick to that. We'll take the conversation where Chet wants to take it, but I don't think we should add additional things that we haven't discussed as a team, because it really kind of confuses the client, I would think. And it looks like we're not in sync, which sometimes we're not. So those are my key suggestions.
Okay, thank you. So someone else would like to have any suggestion for us?
I'll back it up a little bit. The releasing, I don't know you guys if you suggesting to release the apps to a client. I would say we are not ready, I guess. To me, I mean, I would say we are not ready yet. And I would suggest, how about if we have staging running on a Heroku, and then let us, you know, throw a bunch of, you know, data which is similar to real world, and then see how it behaves, you know, before we just release it to a client. I think probably I'll try to create the staging if you want me to, and then I will keep an eye on it, check the logs and how it does, and then I can report to you or to the team.
Okay. About that, I'm not saying that we should release for now. I'm just saying that we need to understand more or less. I believe we're pretty far the road, and I believe the amount of things that we might need might not be that big. But yeah, we will be creating a staging server and everything when we have more or less an idea when we can deliver something for the client. We believe that we have something for the client. We will create an instance on Heroku and put the code there and freeze the code a little bit on that staging machine. So yeah, we might charge you on that, on what you just said.
Oh, say it again. I didn't hear the last word you said.
We will make you up to what you just said.
Sure. All right, I'm for it.
When the time comes, we will see what we can do.
Okay.
All right, sure.
In terms of suggestions of changes on our current process or things that you guys think that we should do differently, do you have any more suggestions, ideas?
I think we've held off too long on figuring out what the MVP is. I'm concerned that what's going to happen is we'll get to what we call the MVP, and we'll have waited too long, and we'll give it to the client, and he'll start to use it, and then he'll find all these things that he needs and all these things that don't work, and by the time that happens, the team will have dispersed, or we'll have lost somebody important, and all of this time will have been spent making software that it can't be used, really.
One other thing is, I think I looked at the Patrick code yesterday, and I really liked it. How he tried to structure his the admin page with only like I think he trying to load only 10 at the time, and then he has a pagination, which is nice. I can visualize how it look nice, but then the page, company registration, and maybe the job seekers registration page, we need to at least somehow fix it. It doesn't look right. I mean, if you guys want to get together and then fix that page, it doesn't look right to me. It just it works, but then visually it's not attractive.
I think that falls into a category of making it look right, and that will depend a lot on the client, on what he wants. Yeah, when he looks at it with some time, he will point out things that we didn't saw, or something like that. But at this point, I believe our priorities should be pointed to having deliverable software, and that doesn't look very bad.
Oh, well, yeah. What I'm trying to say is the lineup. The word are like way to the left or right. I mean, and maybe send a little bit that kind of stuff. It's not aligned right. You can't tell by just looking at it.
I think we can go through that.
So I would suggest,
Sure.
that you create a story or two stories indicating that those screens, those views need to be adjusted. Just as background, there was a change to the application.css file that clobbered Vijaya's form when she submitted the PR, because it went in the PR was pending at the same time her PRN, so she didn't know that change clobbered her view. That's happened to a couple other views. I think one or two of yours, Amy,
Yeah.
been affected by that, so they're really clobbered like Vijaya's was. So we just have to go and make the changes that Vijaya did to reflect application.css changes. That's all. Right now, it's not shippable. It's not something you'd show to the customer. It's really broken. But it's quick to fix.
Amy, you were talking, and then we stopped listening to you.
You did?
Yes, I believe so. And then Salim started talking, so I'm not sure. So you were talking about the MVP and the issue, the problem that could be holding off on the MVP.
Yeah, you know how we're supposed to have releasable software at the end of each iteration? Right now we don't. And there are some features that were considered essential, like notification, for example. But the lack of a notification doesn't mean that the software can't start being hand tested by the people who are going to actually use it. And I feel like the software has gotten to a point where it's beginning to get complicated, and it's not hitting the world. It's not getting that feedback from being published and used and touched by the people who are going to actually use it. And so we're starting to we're in danger of building air castles that will absorb a lot of work and not necessarily deliver value, because we're not releasing our software at the end of every iteration.
Yes, I understand what you say. The problem with deliverable software, that's very nice when you have something that you can deliver.
Mm-hmm.
And currently, with the amount of code, as you said, we don't have something deliverable, because we can deliver it to chat, but the first thing he's going to say is, "This do not notify me when when a user is registered.
Exactly, which is supposed to happen.
So there are things.
So let me finish. Let's say this scenario unfolds. We give the software to Chet. He says, it's not notifying me when a job seeker signs up. So then we say, okay, and we make a little change that sends the notification email to Chet at the same time that the user gets their notification email, right? That counts as a notification. It's not the final version notification, but now he's getting a notification. And then we iterate that way. You know, it's like we're building this whole notification system, and then we're going to give it to him. And that cuts out the feedback that we would get from him if we were delivering incrementally.
Well, we're not.
I do understand that, but the problem is we don't have the base, so we cannot build on it.
What base?
We don't have the base. For example, let's pick up on the notification. We don't have a way to send notifications. So if we don't have a way to send notifications, it doesn't really matter.
We do have a way.
Do we?
Yes, we do, and we are sending notifications.
Are we sending notifications to the job seekers?
We send
to job developers currently when the job seeker is created?
We're sending notifications to everybody who signs up in the form of the welcome email. It's not the ideal notification. It's not the intended end notification. It's a notification, and it allows us to test the business logic, how it's going to fit in the real world.
Amy, don't we need to define an MVP, though, to have a substantial discussion about real stuff? Are you saying, I mean, this is what I think has to happen. We need an MVP set of features before we turn it loose and ask Chet to start using it. Or are you saying even before we get to an MVP feature list, we're going to ask him to start using it? Or testing it or playing with it or whatever?
I think what we're currently defining as an MVP isn't really an MVP. It's an alpha.
Sorry to interrupt, we haven't defined an MVP. So there's no current definition of MVP. That's one of the outstanding tasks we realize. And you're right, we're overdue. Well, maybe the timing is just right now. Maybe a little overdue in defining an MVP. So it's good you bring it up, but we really haven't done that. I know Hugh's intent was to get to that on this team call, but maybe that's a bridge too far for this meeting. I don't know, but that's critical. We need to nail that down so we can have real discussions about real functionality required for Chet to start using it.
The thing is, the MVP that we might define between us, it's not the MVP, because we cannot define the MVP. The MVP is defined by Chet.
Yep.
What we can do is try to get a set of functionalities that we believe it is the minimum viable product, and we can present it to Chet, and then tell him, okay, we can implement this. This is the MVP. Do you think this is enough?
Yeah, maybe we brand it as an alpha release, not an MVP. Say, this is a candidate for an MVP. What else do you need? Play with this and tell us. But anyway, you're right. So he's the one who makes the decision.
Yeah. I mean, I had this crazy idea that we give him what we have now, and of course, and he comes back to us and says, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. And we're like, great. Please prioritize that. And we take the top thing, and we do it, and we give it to him.
You remember his answer to that same question last meeting, Amy? Basically said, it really has to add value for me, because I don't have time to use it just to test it. And if we gave him what we have now, he'll stop in a half hour. It doesn't add any value for him. I'm convinced of that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the danger if you throw it in front of him and you burn him out. And he spends an hour being a good guy, realizing it's just adding to his workload. So that's why the MVP target or alpha release candidate list, whatever we call this, is so critical to get that nailed down and review with him, see what he thinks.
Okay, so how close are we to getting that list before he'll take it?
Let's stop there. Okay. So please, uh, let's finish this topic and then think about the MVP.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone else have any suggestions? Anything that we need to change on our current process, on the way we do things?
Well, let's talk about, if there's no other ideas, implementation of these things, like a regular sprint planning meeting. Do we want to move forward with that? Do we want to hold off? What do you guys think? I think we could. Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
I'm in favor of moving forward with it.
Okay. Hugh, I could do that during the day, your time, at some point that's appropriate to everybody else, and then we could just update you. Or if you want to try to break out time in your side, which doesn't sound very viable. What are your thoughts?
So, about the sprint planning, I think we should start doing a sprint planning, and I'd like very much to participate on the sprint planning, but I'm not 100% sure that I'm always going to be able to participate on the sprint planning. That's the major issue. And my times are not. I cannot say every week, every Monday at 5:30 I'll have an hour available, or any other time. So it's quite hard for me. What I believe we should do is, after every meeting with chat, the next possible date, that should be no longer than Monday. The next Monday we should have a meeting with sprint planning and talk about what we got from chat, the feedback, and create our stories and break our stories in priority. Yes, that I think we should do.
The same day after the meeting, or?
I'm not sure. I doubt that's a good thing, because we're already spending an hour on that meeting, and
Okay.
adding another hour of work is not gonna be productive.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Monday then, huh? We'll do our first one, or our second one, I guess.
Yes.
Okay.
I think we should. Next Monday. Nope. Next Monday. Okay. So I'll jump to point 4 just quickly. The next 2 weeks I'll be out. I'll be on Portugal, so my time zone is gonna shift a little bit more. Eventually, maybe I'll be able to get with you guys during the afternoons, but not 100% sure. So, for example, next Monday, if you all believe that you can schedule an hour that is not at 5:30, that is before that, or something that you can meet, you can start the meeting next week.
Do you want to try to join that? I know you're going to be, what, 5 hours ahead of each
The problem is that I'm flying that day to Portugal. I'm flying Sunday, and I'll arrive there Monday, and I'm not quite sure how's my internet going to be there, because I'm not going to Portugal, right? So
yeah, that's not going to work.
I doubt that's going to work.
No, that's not going to work. Okay, we'll do something then, and let you know.
Okay. So anything else about our process?
Do we want to pick a time for the meeting on Monday?
That might be a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's 29th.
Yes.
I could do it afternoon my time, midday, morning, early afternoon California time.
Okay.
What's a good time for everybody?
Before our stand-up, you mean? Not directly before, but in the hours ahead of our stand-up.
Exactly, the latter, right. Yep.
All right. That works for me.
What day it is? Monday?
Monday, yeah.
Yep.
What time, Patrick?
In the hours before our stand up, we're negotiating which hours.
How
Uh,
about, I think 11 a.m. till noon has
yeah,
worked before for
I
you
can
guys?
do that.
before stand up is okay for Monday. After stand up, I had to go and pick up.
I know. You're kind of constrained after stand-up, I know. So,
Yeah,
okay, so why don't we book it for 11 o'clock California
yeah,
time, 29th?
yeah, yeah. I'm okay then.
Okay,
We've got
great.
we've got 3 people though. We should have 4 people. Salim, can you unmute yourself and let us know when you can meet? There we go.
Okay. I'm okay with that. What is
Oh,
this?
great.
11:30? 11:30?
11 a.m.
11 or 11:30?
11.
11. 11.
11. Sure. Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Awesome.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm putting it in my calendar now.
I will try to do some planning or some analysis before that to kind of get ready for that and also incorporate what we learned from Chet this Friday.
Okay. Okay.
Do you guys want a meeting here on the site, or you don't think that's needed?
Yeah, if you want to throw one up, that'd be great.
It's 29. Okay, so it's gonna be on 29. Let's do it in Scrum.
I would suggest maybe as part of that meeting not to overload it. Maybe we can, if we don't have time to talk on this meeting about the proposed MVP, maybe we as a team talk about that a little bit on Monday. Unless we get a chance during the remainder of this week to do so. But we've actually got a bunch of things that have been thrown up by Hugh and myself on this page we're looking at. We could start going through those.
I'm fine with talking about the MVP during sprint planning. Should we say that it's less important than the sprint planning, and then we can define what the sprint planning needs doing? And then if we run out of time, we'll do it some other time. But
Yeah, makes sense. So do sprint planning first, and if we have time, start looking at MVP.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. And Hua is making the Agile Ventures appointment for us, right?
Yeah. I think the other thing about this need for team discussions as we proceed with architecture or trying to understand requirements and things like that, I think if we just do that ad hoc, if somebody has a topic, they're struggling to understand the requirements, they're wondering why the hell we're investigating notifications, for instance, and we're doing, just raise a hand and we'll put together a meeting with as many people as we can and talk it through. I think the key thing about this is not rotten, this is a complex system, there's no doubt about it. And we need to talk about that more.
I'm not sure if I have the correct time. It's 7, right? You were talking on PST.
Yeah. So it's 2 o'clock my time, and I'm 5 hours behind ETC, so that looks good.
And the date.
Which, 60 minutes. So,
A date is,
The 29th.
I think it's 24.
Oh, wrong day. You're right.
24.
You're right.
Yeah.
We have to do it today.
Yeah.
And we've already missed the timeline.
okay, so we already passed the time for our meeting today.
Okay.
So my question to you is, do you want to start talking about the MVP, or we shift that for the next meeting?
Do you mean right now?
Yes.
I have time.
I had to go.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to go to maybe shift to the other time.
Is there another time in the remainder of the week where we could get together? I know, Amy, you're booked for the next 2 days, it sounds like.
I'll have some time on Friday morning.
I'm not available on Friday morning.
Okay.
I'm out for the client meeting also this Friday. I'm going out. I will come back that time. I will attend. Otherwise, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, to wait till Monday then.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll tackle this MVP Monday.
Okay.
About the rest of the topics that you currently have, do you guys want to add anything onto our suggestions to change or any other unrelated topic?
I think that we're handling as much as we can. So if we put something else on there, we should probably take something off.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I would also ask, Hugh put some stuff down for MVP. I added some stuff in red, as you can see. If everybody else can take a few minutes to look at that and put your thoughts, and you could be even, you point to an item and say, we don't need this in an MVP. So you just put a note for discussion, or you add to the list of MVP. I don't know, but we all ought to take a whack at that.
Okay. So back to my original question. Do any of you want to add anything onto what we discussed today? Or have any other topic that you'd like to talk right now?
Not me.
No.
No.
Okay.
Nope. Okay, so I think we're done.
Hugh, could you edit that to say regular sprint planning meetings, not regular Scrum planning meetings? Or I could if you don't have.
I created some small notes on it. I'll just post them under that from what we talked about, and we go from there. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so I think we're done. Sorry to a little bit more than I was expecting, and we didn't reach all the points that we needed to talk, but it's the time that we have, and it's good to have these meetings so we can talk to each other a little bit and see how we are currently.
Okay.
So thank you
Okay. Bye.
for coming.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye now.